Good evening. Welcome to the August 28th LOCAC council meeting. We'll do a quick call for roll call of council members. Andrea Luker,
Present.
David Cheney is absent. Jim Salio. I see you. I know you're here. Jim is here. Gary Katayama, absent. Brad Spar, absent. These guys may come in later. I'm here. John Lynn, looks like he's not here tonight. Jim Stanfield
I'm here.
and Molly Brown.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. So a couple of announcements from me. On September 25th, there will be a SLOCOG Safe Streets Forum. In the past, this has only been by invitation. This year, it's going to be open to the public. I put something in the chat. If you take a look at the chat, I put the website in the chat as far as if you want information about it. In fact, I actually have the page up, so let's take a quick look at it. Why not? Oh, maybe I don't have it up. Okay, never mind. If you go to that website, you'll see all the information about it. It's a safety forum, so really emphasizing how to improve safety, get away from distracted driving, better pedestrian, better bikeways, that kind of thing. It's very fascinating, and they bring in a lot of experts to talk, and it's well worth checking out. So go to that website and take a look for yourself. It's all day. Did somebody have a question?
Oh,
Molly?
no, I did not. I was trying to open that chat.
Okay.
Maybe I hit
Well, if
the
you
wrong
just
thing.
Google SLOCOG Safety Forum, it'll take you right there. And the other thing is in September, there's going to be a presentation from the Regional Water Quality Control Board regarding Diablo Canyon and water.
Hmm.
So, so if that's something that's of interest to you, then you should be sure to be here in September for our meeting. So Brad is here. Brad Spar is present. Okay, great. Wonderful. Are there any council member announcements? Andrea?
I have an announcement, but I do have a question, Deborah. Diablo Canyon and water, do you know in what realm?
I
Are they
don't.
talking about desal or, okay, I was just curious.
I don't know what the particulars are. I just know that they asked to be on the agenda, and I said, please
Sure.
come.
All right, and I do have an announcement. This is specifically to board members. Some time ago, I sent to all of you an incredible document that's been amended with the help of Jim Salio and Brad Spar, and it basically deals with our elections and also our board makeup to a certain extent. So I didn't get any comments back, so I'm sure that you're all really happy with that document, and we will be bringing that back to you in September for a vote. So if you didn't have a chance to read it, go through. It's done in track changes. It's really clear. There is a question about what we do with our board makeup, but look forward to bringing that back in September and moving forward and simplifying our elections. Thanks.
Great, and good work on that.
I'm sorry, I never received it, I don't believe.
I'll send it out again, Jim.
Would you please? Thank you.
You bet. Yep.
And that will be also on our September agenda to address under board business. Okay. I haven't seen the sheriff. Is he?
See him either there.
Okay, don't see him. So we're going to move on to the highway patrol.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me again tonight. I just have 3 crashes to report. We had one crash that happened on August 4th. It's a property damage only crash. It was at Los Olivos and 10th Street. It was a stop sign violation where somebody proceeded through the stop sign and somebody else came through and didn't stop for the stop sign and subsequently broadsided the other car. So fortunately, no injuries were claimed on that one other than just the property damage. On the 11th at South Bay Boulevard and Los Olivos Avenue, we had a vehicle versus pedestrian. We're still looking into this for the reason why, but a pedestrian got outside of the vehicle that they were in and were subsequently struck at that location. Major injuries. That's obviously something that we look into, in more greater detail to find out why somebody actually chose to get out of their car and such a busy road right there. The last crash that I have to report was on the 14th at Los Olivos Valley Road, east of South Bay Boulevard. It was a rear end collision. Somebody came up behind them and rear-ended them and then fled the scene from that. So it was a hit and run that we ended up having on that. I encourage everybody on hit and runs. Dash cams are relatively affordable now, front facing and rear facing. That allows people to actually get the face of what you see. There's a saying that circulates amongst the criminal element. It's called no face, no case. So they know if there's no face of somebody and they're unable to identify them, that the district attorney isn't likely to file that. So that's why we always like to tell people, if you could get a dash cam, you could put that on the rear or the front. And then, obviously if you get a license plate, a lot of times if stickers that people have on cars, that also lets us know that we could try to track them down and get a confession out of somebody if we can't actually identify them. I do want to highlight for the September 25th, the Safe Streets. Myself will be there. I know the Templeton Commander will also be there to discuss what any issues people have. I'll wrap this up with Labor Day upon us. You'll see an increased amount of highway patrolmen starting tomorrow through Monday as the traffic increases in the summer. You'll see more of us out there. With that, that's all I have to add.
Great. Do I have any questions from the council for the CHP? Any questions from the community? All right. Thank you very much for your report. And I did see Commander Abbas come in, so we can go ahead with the sheriff's report.
Good afternoon. I apologize about that. I was just getting out of another meeting. So for the month of July, we had a total of 436 calls for service, down from 519 calls for service last year during the same time period. Of note were 38 preventative patrol activities, 41 enforcement stops, 13 suspicious circumstances calls for service, and 30 disturbances. And that is what I have, unless anybody has any specific questions for me.
Okay, great report. Do I have any questions from the council? I don't see any questions from the public. Oh, looks good. Thanks for dropping in.
All right, thank you. And again, I apologize about that.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a good evening.
Okay. So next on our agenda would be the Basin Management Committee report. Dan Heimel couldn't be here. He did send a written report. I will pull that up and read it to you. At the regularly scheduled July 20th, 2025 BMC meeting, the board received a presentation from Cleith Harris, geologist, on the transient model construction and calibration and baseline scenario technical memorandums. The presentation slides are available at the BMC website. The board provided direction for Cleith Harris to prepare written responses to the technical questions related to the model and to the technical memorandums asked in the public comment. The board received and filed the technical memorandum regarding the airborne electromagnetic data results summary for Los Osos Basin, and that was prepared also by Cleith Harris, geologists. The board approved a $2,500 quote from Twin Cities Surveying to survey the wellhead elevation for monitoring wells LA16, LA42, LA43, and LA44. The survey will be funded by the remaining LA 14/16 budget. And the next regular BMC meeting is scheduled for September 17th, 2025. And meeting notices, minutes, and recordings are all available at the BMC website, which is losososbmc.org. So, yeah, I was there at that meeting. It was very well attended, and there's a lot of technical information. I'm sure you all remember the helicopter that was flying over Los Osos with the electromagnetic radar that they were using to fly over the bay, and the basin. So a lot of that information is on their website. If you that is of interest to you, you should go check it out. We do expect to have Mr. Heimel here in September to give a more filled out report about the results of the transient model and also some of the other technical information. All right.
Deborah,
Yes.
I just, you're probably surprised that I'm going to say this, but I remain extremely frustrated. For the last couple meetings, we've had questions, David Cheney in particular, about some of the water issues in Los Osos, and I'm just want to make sure that I go on record by saying I'm continue to be frustrated that we can't have somebody here in person to answer our questions. Thanks.
Yeah, I understand. And unfortunately, he has had a conflict with a project in Los Olivos that also meets on the fourth Thursday. And so we've been trying to get him to commit. We thought we had him this month, but we'll definitely have him in September. So save all your questions.
Thanks for your efforts, Deborah.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
So now Mason, I know you're here. There you are. Mason, you have a planning and building report for us?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm having camera problems again. Good evening, Mason Denning, SoCal County Planning and Building. So I don't have any updates specifically, but I did bring a couple people with me. I know you guys got a little bit tired of seeing me, so I brought Claire, and Claire's going to have just a minor update. I know we all love Claire here. She's going to have a little bit of an update on the water. She can't answer for the BMC, so keep that in mind. They're their own entity, but there may be some overlap. I'm not sure. But Claire will follow up me with just a little bit of a statement or presentation or something of the nature. And then I think Miss Howe or Miss Brown's been coordinating with our building department. We have several individuals from our building division here that typically deal with our lamp and our septic requirements. And we met with Miss Brown and kind of explained how the septic and building review works through the use permit process as it relates to the type of septic system and how the lamp kicks in. And there was kind of a broader request that we bring that to the general counsel and then relay it back to the land use committee. So all of them are with us tonight. There's a couple individuals from building that I'll let Marissa introduce. But on the I guess on the heel of the last BMC update and notification, I'll turn it over to Claire. I think I see her in here.
Yep, there she is. Hi, Claire. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's great to see familiar faces. Thanks for letting me pop in tonight. So yeah, kind of tailing off of what Deborah shared about the information that the BMC has been sifting through recently. The county's growth management ordinance that a lot of us are probably familiar with now, since the building moratorium was lifted in Los Osos last year by the County Board of Supervisors. That growth management ordinance evaluates community resources to evaluate what the appropriate growth rate is for the community. And that evaluation happens annually at the end of the calendar year. And so planning and building will be taking an evaluation of the countywide growth rate in Los Osos to the board in December, just like we do every year. And in Los Osos specifically, that evaluation is made based on the best available data. And as Deborah said, the BMC is doing a lot of good work that's highly technical by creating a new groundwater model. And we appreciate the work there that the BMC is doing to know more and more about the basin. Someone made a joke a few years ago that the Los Osos groundwater basin might be like one of the most studied basins in the in the state. And so from planning and building, we just wanted to acknowledge that there is a lot of technical information out there. And so as we work towards the annual evaluation of the growth management ordinance for Los Osos in December, we're working with the Los Osos Basin Management Committee and the purveyors and our county groundwater sustainability director, Blaine Reilly, as we work towards that. And we'll share information as it comes online with LOCAC. And yeah, just wanted to be here to acknowledge that tonight.
Yeah, that is obviously a very big discussion that we're hearing about here in Los Osos. Do I have any questions from the council for Claire about Andrea?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
All right.
sorry. No,
So,
I'm good.
anybody from the public have any questions for Claire?
I actually have a question, Deborah.
Okay, Molly, go ahead.
So one of, I guess my question for Claire is right now, there's no changes in terms of like on land use, we are looking at additional, applications for new houses in the main part of Los Osos. And so there's no change is this correct? There's no change at this time as to, whether or not, those would be supported by the county. We should just continue on as we have in the last several months. Is that right?
Yeah, continue
Okay.
like business as usual as the rest of this year. And then, you know, as I think on December 16th is when we're going to the board and they'll have a look again at the growth management or growth rate for Los Osos. Does that answer your question,
Okay.
Molly?
Yes, that
Okay.
does. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Claire? Right, I don't see anything. So, thank you, Claire. So nice
Thank
to have
you.
you.
It was great to see you guys. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Bye.
Okay, so now we have a special guest, Marissa Sensulo. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah,
Okay,
you did.
good.
Thank you.
I was practicing it actually.
Very good, very good.
Okay, so Marissa is going to help us understand the local area management program, otherwise known as LAMP. A few people in Los Osos are under the LAMP requirement, and so in order to understand it better, we asked Marissa to come and do a little presentation. So Marissa, do you have a PowerPoint? Do I need to
I
make you?
do. Yeah, I was going to attempt to share my screen. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so it says send request. So I'm going to send you a request to share.
Okay. Try it now.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Oops. All right. Can you guys see that?
Now we can, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, hi, I'm Marissa with SLO County Building and Planning, specifically the building division. I believe we also have my supervisor, Sylvia Aldana, as well as Jill Coomer from the building division on the call. So I'm going to just go over a little bit about the requirements for the LAMP. Los Osos is a complicated area for a lot of things, septic systems being one of them. So we'll just go over a little bit about those requirements. So what is the local area management program? We'll talk about the septic prohibition zone as well as the exemption areas, the moderate and severe nitrogen impact areas, and then requirements for parcels of different sizes that don't fall into one of those categories. So you guys are probably familiar with the term LAMP, Local Area Management Program. It's the document that contains the standards for on-site wastewater treatment systems, which is just a sort of fancy term for septic systems. It was adopted in 2020 by the regional board and subsequently by the SLO County Board of Supervisors. It's also adopted by reference into the Title 19 Building and Construction Ordinance. So it is a requirement to follow the LAMP. Most of Los Osos is within the septic prohibition zone. So on the figure shown here, the area outlined in black is the prohibition zone, but there are two areas that are exemptions from the prohibition zone. And so those are the Martin Tract, which is kind of not that easy to see, but it's this little red dashed area. And then the Bayview Heights Tract, which is this little wedge down here. And so so everything within the prohibition zone is required to connect to sewer apart from these two exemption areas, which do have the potential ability to install septic systems that meet the requirements of the LAMP. So those two areas more specifically are shown here. So this is the permitting prohibition exemption areas. Up until we had the LAMP, the permitting in those areas did go through the regional board, but once the LAMP was adopted, those areas have migrated under SLO County's authority. A lot of the parcel sizes in the Martin Tract are larger than some of the surrounding areas, which is better for septic. This area is not within what's called a moderate or severe nitrogen loading zone. The Bayview Heights area is also permitted through SLO County, and the majority of this area is within the severe nitrogen impact zone. So what does that mean? So basically, the county did a study before the LAMP was developed, and so it was led by Cresta, and they analyzed different areas throughout the county, focusing on those areas with a high density of septic systems. And so there's 3 areas within Los Osos that were identified as moderate or severe impact areas. So we have Cabrillo Estates down here, which everyone's probably familiar with. And then we have this area, which is most of the Bayview tract. And then this wedge over here, which is not really identified by any name, but so within those areas, there are specific requirements for septic systems, and those requirements are designed to minimize the potential for groundwater nitrate loading. So the requirements for those systems are to install what's called a supplemental treatment system, which you guys may or may not be familiar with, but it's essentially involves an additional tank that further treats the wastewater prior to discharge. And it reduces things like nitrate concentration, BOD, TSS. And so they can be, more expensive than standard septic systems, as well as more maintenance required. So annually, they require some level of maintenance and monitoring. So those are what's required for the areas that are identified as moderate and severe nitrate impact areas. There are certain parts of Los Osos that are outside of the prohibition zones and the nitrogen loading zones. And so the requirements for those areas vary depending on the parcel size. So for parcels greater than 2 acres, they would need to meet the separation to groundwater requirements that are shown in the table. And then they also have to do, like a perk test, a deep soil boring, meet all the setbacks, et cetera, et cetera. But when the parcels are less than 2 acres, there are some additional requirements that apply. So basically, they're required to demonstrate deep groundwater and percolation rates between 5 and 120, and then slope being less than 10%. And if those criteria can't be met, then they would have to install a supplemental treatment system. So it ends up being that most parcels in Los Osos have to install supplemental treatment systems for one reason or another, due to the reasons of fast perk rate. And there's some areas that have high groundwater. So that's kind of a very brief overview, and hopefully I can address some questions that you guys might have.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. So some of us know quite a bit about this because we live in those areas. I happen to be one of those people.
Okay.
And and know that it's a very expensive proposition to put in one of these systems. You not only need an additional tank, you need to also put in a horizontal leach field, where typically up here we have leach pits that go down. Now we would be required to create leach fields that go out, and that means you'd have to, have the property in order to do that. We've done a lot of study up in Cabrillo Estates about what that would require. Generally, it's about $100,000 to install a system. And that doesn't count repairing the hardscape and landscape that might be disturbed in the process. So it's a pretty daunting scenario. Plus, it has to be connected to Wi-Fi, it has to be monitored, it has to be tested. The county requires you to test it. So
Yeah.
it's not a fun, this is not a
No.
fun program.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are wishing that they could be connected to the sewer. At least that's the feeling up here in Cabrillo.
Definitely.
How about other council members? Do you have questions for Marissa about this program?
I do. Well, I'm not sure if it's, yeah, I guess it's kind of a question, but could you just, I know we talked about it previously, Marissa, but could you just explain the point within the planning process when there's new construction proposed, the point in which you would be doing your evaluation?
Sure, yeah. So typically when there's a proposal that requires like a minor use permit, it would come to planning where someone like Mason would then forward it to myself and other people with the building division. And so we would review it at that stage for preliminary comments. And so in certain situations, it's pretty clear cut whether or not the supplemental treatment system will be required, like if they're within the nitrogen loading zones. I think we kind of talked about this previously, where in certain situations that are outside of those areas, there is some additional site-specific criteria that we need to know. So like how fast is the perk rates, how deep is the groundwater, and so we don't always know at that initial kind of referral comments what type of system is going to be required. That would come, we would provide, all the, if the parcel is this, then that, kind of comments. And then ultimately, when we receive the building permit, we would obviously do a full review at that point. And then hopefully the applicant has taken the comments under advisement and, propose the appropriate system. If not, we would, tell them that in the corrections.
Okay. Yeah, and this came up previously, just for everyone's knowledge, that so this kind of identification about this type of septic system is not reviewed and not identified at the point when the land use committee is looking at evaluating whether, some house is going to be built in one of these areas where they might need that, but it comes further down the road, but it is very much part of the process. So
Good question, Molly. Thank you for that. And thank you, Marissa. Andrea, your hand's up.
I think this was just answered, but I want to make sure I understand. So how is this requirement triggered? Like let's say for Deborah, if she decides to make improvements on her home, is it triggered then, or is she now responsible to do that? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if she was doing, like, let's say she just wants to remodel kind of her living room and, kind of superficial things, then we wouldn't necessarily trigger the requirements of the lamp. Now, if she's adding a bedroom or if her septic system has failed, then at that point, it would basically be the requirements of the lamp would go into effect.
Okay, Marissa, thank you. This is a nice presentation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Jim Salio.
Hi, Marissa. Could you go, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So there's basically 3 levels of wastewater water treatment, on-site water treatment. There's the moderate to severe, which requires a certain system, and then there's parcels that are less than 2 acres or more than 2 acres. Is it possible to get a little better map sent to us that outlines those areas, because it's really hard to see where those areas are. It'd be really helpful in the land
Yeah.
use committee if we were able to see the property, because it doesn't say anything on when we get the permit or the application, building permit application, anything that says, if it's outside we just have to look at the address, but it's hard.
Yep.
It'd be really helpful if we could see exactly where those areas are.
No, definitely. That's good feedback. And we actually do have the county land use view that has those different layers. And so it's a little bit easier to see when you can zoom in and type in, parcel number and things like that. So
This is on the
yeah,
county website, on the
it is.
GIS.
I can send out the link in the chat. But yeah,
That
so
would
you
be great. Yeah.
so you can type
So what's that layer called? Does it have a particular name?
yeah, so you would type nitrogen in the search bar here on the left. I think, can you still see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
Yes.
can.
And then from there, yeah, you would see Cabrillo Estates here in red. And then if you want to search for like a specific parcel to see, then you just type in the APN or the address up here. And then you'll be able to see like, okay, this one is within the prohibition zone,
Okay.
outside of the nitrogen zone. So yeah, that's kind of a good way to be able to check. And I can send out that
That
link.
would be great. And then we could, it also helps to talk with the applicant about it too, not letting them know that this is coming down and that kind of thing.
Definitely. We try to, if it's within one of the nitrogen loading zones, we definitely comment when we get the referrals. But yeah, for certain areas, we don't know until we see the whole.
Exactly. That seems to
Yeah.
be the one we have the hardest problems with, are the parcels
Yeah.
outside the prohibition zone, not in the
Right.
moderate to severe, that,
Yep.
they don't know. They just think, oh, I'm just going to put a traditional septic system in. And we're like, well, maybe that's not going to be good enough, kind of thing.
Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, I'll definitely send out this link right now.
Great.
Thank you.
Good questions, everybody. All right, any other questions from the council?
Yes.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there any ongoing monitoring of the nitrogen levels, or are these zones set up on one set of data that were put years ago?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Presumably the nitrogen levels will vary with usage and groundwater and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so the nitrogen loading zones were identified in that 2018 study that I talked a little bit about. And so we are required to do a 5-year review of the LAMP that includes like analysis of kind of, readily available data. And so that will be coming, I think, next year. So we may look a little bit closer at some of those areas.
Okay, so these maps may change depending on nitrogen levels currently.
Potentially, yeah. I don't think we have any immediate plans of updating the LAMP, but there's the potential for changes to be made in the future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question, Deborah.
Okay, Molly, go ahead.
So is the nitrogen zoning loading zone levels, is the idea, or is that tied into like monitoring, since we're now on a sewer system, is the idea that this is part of monitoring what happens in the basin over time with hopefully the reduced nitrogen levels over the long term in the groundwater?
Yeah, it's a complicated question. I guess at the 5-year review, we'll look a little bit closer at some of those levels, what the trends are, and we may have a better answer kind of related to it at that stage. But yeah, the hope would be, over time monitoring occurs and, updates are made as appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have any more questions from council? Then I'll go to questions from the public. If you have a question, if you could raise your hand.
And then Ms. Howe, Mason Dang, Soul County Planning. I just wanted to jump in really quick. And I think Jim had a question kind of about the referrals and if you'll know and whatnot at that point.
It's not exact, so don't take it as gospel, but because the vast amount of parcels that are capable of development in Los Osos were previously located within the prohibition zone, so they're almost all overwhelmingly like those 6,200 square foot, to 10,000 square foot parcels as well. In the project description, because I do most of the referrals in Los Osos and then the associated project description, I do typically put the parcel square footage. So if it's anything over like 6 to 10, that would kind of be like an immediate indicator, like, hey, there may be septic here, and then that might start churning those questions. But anything around the 6,200, give or take, would be kind of more towards the CSD and the sewer, just as a rough estimate or rough guideline.
Oh,
That's good, Mason. Thank you.
Yeah, good, good. Okay. And I think, and Jeremy put something in the chat okay.
Right.
That was for Claire. Okay, awesome. I mean, that was for Marissa. Wonderful, very good. Any questions from the public? I want to make sure that if you have a question, we get it answered. I don't see any. Marissa, I thank you very much for coming and making sense of something that's actually quite complicated.
Problem. Yeah. And if anybody wants to jot down my info, if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thanks,
right,
Marissa.
well,
Thank you.
just in time, Supervisor Gibson,
Yeah.
that was very fortunate because I know you were
Indeed.
not here and
Indeed,
now
a
you're here.
complicated thing. First, I want to just make sure Marissa knows how much I appreciate her being here. I'm sorry that I'm late. I was at a meeting up in Cambria regarding the San Simeon CSD and got word from your friend and mine, Mr. Blake Fixler, that the power is out in his house. He was going to cover for me tonight, but I'm home now, so this works. And
Okay.
as always, pleased to be with you. Again, yeah, the lamp is a big deal. And I look forward to working with Marissa and all the planning folks as we move forward, as these things need to be implemented. So my report is fairly short because Blake didn't write me up on his normal long list of fun things. But at the board meeting last Tuesday, 8 days ago, we did approve the Los Osos Valley Road Corridor plan. And I think that went very well. I reminded my colleagues, that yes, this is another plan with lots of things that the community wants to see happen. But there's a couple of important pieces that I thought were really creative. One is the idea that the Class 1 bike trail between Palisades and Monarch Grove is a possibility, even with the private property controlling some of the obvious spot where that might otherwise go. There's a creative possibility there. But more importantly, the question of how these things actually get funded and built. This plan makes us more eligible for a variety of other grant opportunities. We've seen that happen in Templeton, where the board approved one less than a year ago, I think, for Vineyard Drive, and already some things are happening there. Some of this stuff in the plan involves paint, which Public Works can break free and actually repaint some stripes in ways that make things better. And there's, anyway, I thought it was great. It was the first time that I had really sat down with it as a whole. It looks fantastic. Appreciate the community's efforts on that. Nothing else specifically Los Osos comes to mind. Happy to answer any questions. I will end though with one of the highlights of recent years. On Monday, we cut the ribbon to officially open the Cayucas Vets Hall. And I urge you all to go up to Cayucas, get a burger at one of a number of different places around the pier. And just if there's, I don't think there's much going on inside the hall right now, but just walk around that space. It is awesome, and it's finally opening to the public after 9 years of being closed. It closed in 2016, and extraordinary effort by a whole lot of people got it back up. So one of the jewels of Estero Bay, and I commend you to check it out when you get a chance. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, we do have a question from Brad Spar. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, Bruce, I have a couple of friends who are ranchers along Los Osos Valley Road.
Mhm.
And they tell me that the installation of roundabouts will severely impact their ability to move equipment up and down the road. And that, as far as they knew, at least, nobody on Los Osos Valley Road, none of the ranchers or farmers were approached or asked about this.
Mhm.
Are you the contact guy for getting
Yeah,
their opinions?
Yeah, I'm happy to take any comments folks would like to direct. Couple of points there. One, any roundabout is a long way away. This is not going to happen overnight. The one that sticks in my mind was at Foothill Boulevard on the edge of San Luis Obispo. And the second thing is that the question of large vehicles larger than a car transitioning the roundabout is always on people's minds, and that becomes part of the engineering of the roundabout. And the best example I can have you look at is the one at Quintana Road and Morro Bay Boulevard in Morro Bay, and it's got a paved section that's round and a car can go through. But as you get into the center of the roundabout, there isn't a hard curve. It slants up. And if you look there, you'll see tire tracks where large trucks, fire trucks, any large vehicle, they're not going to put something in there that precludes the use of larger vehicles. It may look a little daunting, and I have to smile. There's a stat out there someplace where on the average, last it was studied, when a roundabout's proposed, 2/3 of the folks commenting are dead set against it. Once it's in and operating, 3/4 of the folks think it was an improvement to the situation. So it's just something that is becoming more common here, and I think as it does, we'll see that the acceptance of it will be greater.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll pass that on to them and
Sure.
have them contact you if they have
Sure.
further questions.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jim, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, Bruce, on the Los Osos Valley corridor plan, is there any reporting back to the board in the future on how the progress is going on implementing that plan?
Short answer is I don't know, but there would be an obvious place to do that, which is when we update the circulation element or the circulation report that sets the road impact fees, because that's a funding source. And even if the road impact area really only contains the community of Los Osos, we'll be sure to flag that for them. It would be an ideal time to report on the wider actions under the overall plan.
Right. I mean, and the reason I'm asking is because I think the community of Los Osos would really like to know the progress on that plan.
Sure.
What's being done, what's going on, and if it's happening in front of the Board of Supervisors, then that satisfies that need. But if it doesn't, then it would be great if somebody could report annually to LOCAC and let us know how things are going and what they're working on and that kind of thing, just so it keeps it alive. Because you and I both know that people make these plans and they sit on the shelf and
Sure.
never get done.
Yeah, it's become a theme of mine. We did a strategic plan for behavioral health. We did a strategic plan on homelessness, and I'm constantly pestering staff as they bring projects forward to slot it in there and show how it works. And now I'm going to get the fact checked here. I see Mr. Fixler with his hand up, and it's a good thing for you all. Mr. Fixler, how's things?
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
Things are better now that the power is back on.
There you
I
go.
dropped out there for a bit. As the supervisor was saying, I don't think we necessarily get a regular update, but let me use some recent activity that took place in Templeton as an example. Is Templeton had a similar corridor plan for their Main Street and Vineyard Drive, and Public Works, uses these plans to go out and look for grants, and they were able to get a grant funds, and that does have to go through the board for approval. So if grant money does come in for a specific part of this plan, it would of course be on the board's agenda to accept and slot that grant money into the associated portion of the project, not necessarily every improvement, but usually it'll be in chunks. So just a way that has worked in the past, using Templeton as an example.
My only thought is, it would be really important for the community of Los Osos to get feedback, because we worked hard on that plan and we gave a lot of input on that plan.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to know what's going on with that plan and who's working on what, and what's feasible, what's not feasible, what grants they've been going after, what grants they haven't been able to get, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. We'll duly note. Happy to keep you up on it.
Okay, do we have any more questions from the council or from the public for Mr. Gibson before he leaves us? I don't see any hands up.
Easy today. All right. Y'all take care. It's good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now we have the CSD report. I believe Tom Cross, are you the one doing the report tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay, take it away.
All right, so a couple of updates. Regarding the Sunnyside School acquisition, the CSD contracted with FM3, a professional public opinion research firm, to provide a statistically valid sampling of the community's willingness to pay for the acquisition and ongoing operations and maintenance of the Sunnyside property. The polling began on August 18th and should be completed around sometime tomorrow. Results for the survey should be available around September 12th. A second town hall meeting regarding the Sunnyside property is being organized with the tentative date set for September 20th. More information will be distributed once the date and agenda is confirmed. The Citizens Working Group continues to work on the ballot initiative and other tasks associated with acquiring the Sunnyside School property. Regarding the water resiliency pipeline project, the board approved the release of a request for the proposal for the design, and at the July 10th board meeting, the closing date to receive proposals was August 21st. Results of the process will be available today or tomorrow when the board agenda packet is finalized and posted publicly. Completing the design work will make the project shovel-ready, which will better position the project for funding opportunities and will greatly enhance the district's chances of securing outside funding from state and local resources. If you have any questions regarding this project design or the overall project, Ron Munns, just contact him and he'll be happy to answer any questions at the district office. For LAFCO, we have completed a draft study for the district. One hasn't been done for our district since 2014. So the draft document is an update to any changes that have occurred since then. You can find that draft document on the district's website. And finally, for the Emergency Services Strategic Plan, the Emergency Services Advisory Committee was updated on the plan. And the big update is furthering plans on making the South Bay Community Center an evacuation facility. And the big thing for that was creating a backup power system, which will involve solar and a generator. So if the power goes out, that will still be a viable place for evacuations to go. If you have any questions, contact me or Ron Munns. We'll do our best to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, Tom, that's a lot to report on. Thank you.
Yeah, Ron writes a lot.
Are there any questions for Tom about the CSD report? Molly?
I have one question. It's not about what he talked about, but if you know, who is handling the weed abatement follow-up around Los Osos for like empty lots and weeds and trees that are dead, that kind of thing?
I'm pretty certain that would be CAL FIRE, but Ron Munns would know for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, they're doing final inspections. We're
Oh.
thinking we'll have the final tally right around next week. Enforcement notices will start going out because we do have the ability to enforce. So we're closing in on the final, process of doing that.
But are the enforcement letters by the CSD or by CAL FIRE?
Well, it's one and the same. CAL FIRE contracts with the CSD, so it's CSD, via CAL FIRE.
Okay, so if people have complaints about certain things, how do they try to get information about it?
They can contact our CSD office, or there
Okay.
is information on our website on how to report it in general.
Okay,
I would suggest going through the CSD office,
yeah,
and we can convey that up to the fire station.
okay, thank you.
Great. All right, good question, Molly. Any more questions for the CSD? Anyone? I don't see any hands up, so I think we're good there. Thank you both very much. Chamber of Commerce, Jim, what have you got for us?
Yes. The big news for the chamber is we now have a public office. The office is right behind Steve Oslander's office there in that white complex with multiple offices. It has an address, but it's on Bush, which might be confusing. You can come off of Los Osos Valley Road where Steve's office is, Valley really. So we're happy to be in that office. We have volunteers there from 10 to 2, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if you have chamber business or like to buy and chat, that's when you can do it. We are really getting behind our chamber mixers now, really eager to have additional public participation. These are events where we kind of come together at somebody's location, generally have refreshments and just spend time together. We'll have a mixer or open house or whatever you call it on the third Wednesday in September at the chamber office. Preliminary plans for some ice cream being served and that sort of thing. Right. Third Wednesday, 5:30 at that address.
Okay, well, congratulations on that. Getting
I'm
the
doing.
chamber office opened again. That's very nice. And I went to your last mixer, Jim, and it was a lot of fun. I met some people that I hadn't seen for a while. And so you said it's the third, what day? Wednesday?
5:30. The e-blast that comes out of the chamber. Every Wednesday there is an e-blast, and chamber members can publicize their events in that vehicle, and all the information will be there.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Any
You bet.
questions for the Chamber of Commerce? I don't see any hands, so we will thank you for your report, and we'll move on to public comments for items not on the agenda. I know for a fact we do have a public comment, and it comes with a presentation. So, Jeff, I see you're here. If you want to unmute, and I will share my screen. So that we can all see your presentation. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and I'm a nearly 50-year resident of Los Osos, and I remember for at least the last 40 years, we as a community have been talking about our downtown and the desire to create a town center, something that gives Los Osos a sense of identity and so forth. LOCAC, as you may recall, has been founded since about 1995. And indeed, for the last 30 years, LOCAC has been talking about the same thing, the establishment of a town center that would really stimulate existing businesses and create new ones. Please proceed. Thank you. I wanted to review some of our downtown currently. Everybody's driven by these locales, and unfortunately, we have a very old and linear downtown. Next slide, please. And this is a former Crinkle site. Now it's converted to a private residence with RVs and storage. Next slide, please. The old gas station, now it's got a mix of uses that I'm really not sure altogether what it is. It's hard to identify it, and the property's for sale now. Not sure what the long-term expectations are. Next slide, please. And then, of course, everybody knows the old Rosie's gas station. This is decades old and is on a very prominent corner of Los Osos, and I think is emblematic of the need for a revitalized downtown. Next slide, please. This is all in contrast to what we've seen in Baywood Park, a significant investment in what's happening down there. Next slide. There's lots of activity. People are everywhere, lots of activity. Next slide. And the visitors are down by the pier, and it's just very active. And next slide, please. Of course, everybody likes to go to the deli, and that's been a real success. Next slide, please. So the vision statement that LOCAC's adopted includes passive recreation, improvement of jobs, housing balance, one or more senior care facilities. The library is doubled, outdoor dining, user-friendly government center, for example, the LOCSD, urgent care as a new use in the community, residential and businesses in a mixed-use concept, and affordable and transitional housing. So the conclusion is, what does LOCAC want? Does LOCAC want to change the vision statement? Because that's the appearance now, with the idea to have active recreation downtown with ball fields and other recreational facilities on very valuable real estate. So again, my request would be that LOCAC agendize a discussion and talk about the vision statement to determine whether or not you would like to change it. And if not, then let's pursue the projects that are contemplated by it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Let's move on to our agenda. We'll start with the consent agenda. It's a new vacation rental. It came out of our land use unanimous. So do I have a motion?
I motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Brad, okay, Jim, Stanfield, Brad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, unanimous decision there for the consent. Now we'll go on to the regular agenda, starting with the,
Deborah, I just want to let Mike Tutt know, who's been waiting patiently. Mike, we're recommending approval of your vacation rental.
oh, Mike, congratulations.
Another cocktail.
Jeff, you want to mute yourself?
Yep.
Okay, Mike, we just approved your vacation rental.
Mike
In case
Tutt,
you
yeah.
didn't hear. Okay, great. Next project is the single family residence. This is on Pasadena Drive. Is the owner here?
Michael Johnson's here.
Michael, welcome. Michael, so we're gonna take, what is the recommendation of land use for this project?
But I just didn't have consensus. The reason it was not put on consent is the water use.
Okay,
So one of a member, we have to have so the council knows, we have to have unanimous approval to move it to consent from land use, and we didn't have that. We had a member who was concerned about the water use of the project.
Mason, I know you're here. You're the project manager. Is there a problem with water as far as this project goes?
Hey, thank you, Ms. Howe. No, not explicitly. It's the same as any other single family home or development within Los Osos. I think I'd really just point back to Claire's statement earlier, and that the county is still using the best and current, most available and up to date information for the basin. And so, as it stands, we just continue to process applications per normal. And then I would note for the general counsel and the land use committee that one of our required findings is it permits, or is it's related to development being permitted in Los Osos, is a service capacity finding or a service availability finding. And so if at any point there does become some change, positive, negative, whatever it is, that finding has to get adjusted. And if we can't make the finding, we can't recommend the project for approval. That's not the case currently. We're taking projects to hearing, some of them homes with larger square footage than this. So as it relates to this one, there's no current concern. And if there ever is in the future, we address it at that time.
All right, excellent. Do I have any questions about this project, either for the Land Use Committee or for Mason? Okay.
Deborah, may I give you a short history of the project? And I will be brief. May I?
Of course. We would love to hear your short history. Would appreciate it.
1973, my parents came up. There was the Otto family auction in Baywood. They bought the particular lot from the Otto family at auction. Something that happened in 76, people don't talk about a whole lot. The state came in with an acquisition list, and the state was going to buy basically the whole peninsula. And my father got together with other folks in the same predicament, and they worked very hard with state legislators that they knew to get people to back off. Otherwise, the state had every intention of buying the whole peninsula. In 83, my parents had plans, permits ready to go. Parenthetically, I do have the check that my dear father wrote for his permit in 1983. It was $866.71. It's a little bit more than that now. Again, they had plans, permits ready to go, and they were working with the planning folks back and forth, making some subtle changes, working with the architects. And then the door got shut on them. In 92, just to give you an idea of how difficult this process has been for the family, in 1992, a neighbor at the time, because it was all built out really except for my folks' lot on Pasadena Drive, a neighbor took 280 cubic yards of dirt from my folks' lot. That ended up in court, then ended up with trespass and all this difficult situation. That was in 92. Part and parcel to that, the courts said that Dad had to go in and replant all the damage that was done on the lot because the neighbor took truckloads of dirt and put it in his backyard. We had water meters, we had irrigation, we were set up, we were reestablishing the vegetation. That was in 92. In 91, Dad got on the wait list. He's number 6. God bless him. My folks have both passed away. And my charge from my dear father before he passed away was, he said, could you please, if at all possible, build a home for my only grandson, our son? And I said, Pops, I'll do everything I can. And that is my motivation, to build a home for my son on Pasadena Drive. And it's been since 1973. It's a long time. I'm not getting any younger, but we keep trying. That's a framework of what we're trying to do. I appreciate you allowing me to tell you that story of the Johnstons.
Jim, can I ask the question of the land use? If the majority of the land use were okay with this project, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Move approval of this.
So Jim has made a motion to approve this project. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, the two Jims, all right. Um, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, I say it passes unanimously. And Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
thank you for sharing that very personal story. We often forget that there's history with some of these parcels that are still left open, and it was interesting to hear your personal story about that. And thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, well, you're getting a little bit closer.
We keep moving. Keep trying.
All right, excellent. So let's keep moving ourselves. The next project is a hotel condominium. Who's going to explain this project to us?
I think we should let Jeff go ahead and talk about the project.
Okay, Jeff, you're
Thank
here.
you.
You're ready to go.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Good evening again. My name is Jeff Edwards, and appearing this evening on behalf of Bonaire Investments, Leon Van Burden. And as most of you may know, this is the final phase of a multi-phase mixed-use development. And the matter before you this evening is a 12-unit extended stay hotel condominium. And just for the record, I wanted to note one of the stat corrections. The area of disturbance is shown as 25,614 square feet, and our civil engineer calculated it exactly at 18,872 square feet. I made that correction at land use and wanted to carry it forward here. Let's see. The project includes, of the 12 units, it includes 4 units that are lower cost visitor serving accommodations by design. In essence, they're smaller units and therefore are going to be at significantly more affordable rates. 2 of those units are on the ground level, and they'll incorporate all the universal accessibility features for handicapped people. And there's also a handicap parking space immediately next to the units. Water is of course always a part of the conversation in Los Osos, and I wanted LOCAC to know that our professional engineer has determined that we can balance all water use on site. In other words, the nominal increase in demand based on this project will be offset through other conservation efforts performed on site. So we'll balance all the demand and supply on site. You may note that there's a waiver request involving the waiver of a typical lobby and so forth. And that's really we don't believe those kind of common facilities are needed for this particular project based on its size and the extended stay nature of the project. And especially in a post-COVID era, systems are set up with hotels where people can perform self-check-in. And then in terms of management of the hotel, Mr. Van Burden has a real estate office virtually across the street from these facilities. So the management can be accomplished. And so we believe the facts support the waiver that's being requested for the common facilities. We've had very specific fire protection plans prepared by a professional company, and we've, I think, been able to address all of the details that staff has presented to us. And with that, I'll close, and certainly I'm available for questions. I would ask that LOCAC votes to move this along so that it can be heard by the County Planning Commission. And thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Questions?
I'd like to hear from land use people, but
Okay. Molly,
Well,
did you want to go ahead?
Go ahead, Molly.
Go ahead,
Molly.
Jim. You go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, land use has heard this about 3 or 4 times. We don't have consensus on it. It's a big project. This really is something that LOCAC needs to decide whether this is a good fit for Los Osos. That's really what our job is. And this is something that we need in Los Osos, and it fits within all the criteria. Um, I don't, Molly, do you want to add anything? I mean,
Yeah.
I give you my personal opinion, but I'll let Molly pitch in.
Well, let's hear your personal opinion first.
My personal opinion is I think this is a good project. I think it's good for Los Osos. I think it's a creative use of the campus that already exists there. I'm trusting Mr. Edwards when he says that they're going to offset the water. And it would be great to have some more places for people to stay in Los Osos, especially in that side of Los Osos too.
Very helpful.
Okay, so I'll give my 2 cents worth. I have a real issue with this project calling it a hotel because the way it's operating, to me, if I just look at how the buildings are going to be used in real time, it's more like a row of vacation rentals, which wouldn't be allowed there. So to me, like, it's just a come and go as you want kind of place. It doesn't really have it doesn't feel like a hotel in the actual use. It just feels like, apartment buildings that are being used as, they're calling them condos, but it's like taking an apartment building and turning it into a bunch of vacation rentals that basically wouldn't be allowed in that commercial space. So to me, it doesn't really meet the criteria of what I would call a hotel. And that's based on, my understanding of the California Fire and Building Codes, which I, in my former working life, used to be very involved. But I understand what Mr. Edwards is saying, and I know he wants to do this project, but I just don't see it as really, you can call it a hotel and have it on a commercial property, but it's not really operating as a hotel. It's operating more as vacation rentals with 12 in a row. So I'm not a fan.
Andrea.
I know we've had a lot of questions on this one before, and I'm curious if those questions have been resolved. I feel like maybe they haven't. In particular, can someone speak to the waiver? I'm unclear about what the waiver is about. And then secondly, and I'm guessing part of the waiver is nobody managing, yet there's a management office across the street, but I don't think it's operated on a 24/7 basis. So I have a question there. And then I heard long-term stay, but then it's providing places for people to stay, but long-term, and what does long-term mean? So kind of a slew of questions there. Thanks.
So I think those would be best answered by either Jeremy or Mason.
Perfect. I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I think Jeremy is quite a bit more innately familiar with this project as the project manager, so I will go ahead and let him answer any questions that the council may have.
Good evening, everybody. Jeremy Freund. So the project is a hotel project. The waiver in particular is not having on-site office request. The CZLUO does allow, if you do a hotel condominium project, it does identify certain requirements that you need to have or provide for on that type of a use. However, there's also exceptions you can ask for, which this project applicant has asked for about these on-site uses, such as a front desk type of facilities. Those waiver requests, does go through, does require the plan commissioner's approval. So it's not a automatic. It's something that is a recommendation through this process. The question about it being more a vacation rental versus a hotel, The fact that they don't have an on-site staff physically on site does not preclude it from being considered, from negating it from being a hotel use. They have designated across the street at the 1330 Van Buren offices as their primary location for dealing with office components such as check-in, monitoring, responses to fire issues. So those things that's how they are addressing that component through that waiver aspect.
And can you speak, Jeremy, to long-term? It's a long-term stay, or is it a one night, or is it just depend?
I am not familiar with where the comment of long-term is coming from as a hotel. So the hotel is a hotel. So I think the term may have been coming because there might be a confusion about when you hear a condominium, people think of it as like a residential use. This is not. This is a commercial use. Jeff has his hand up. I can let Jeff answer if he's very interested in wanting to respond to that.
What, I think that's where I got long-term. I thought I heard him say that.
Okay.
Jeff, you want to explain that?
Sure. Thank you again, Jeff Edwards. I think I used the term extended stay, and that is indeed what this particular visitor serving accommodation is. And it's considered extended stay. Many of you may have even occupied one. These are units that they have more amenities typically. They might have a kitchenette, and folks stay there not for a night or two typically. The average stay is closer to 4 or 5 days for a stay. So the amenities are greater. People, it's more like their own home in many regards, but it's a visitor serving accommodation. And I'd just like to review for everyone's benefit the visitor serving accommodations we have today in Los Osos. For a community of almost 15,000 people, we have 150 visitor serving accommodations. We have approximately 100 hotel rooms. Almost half of them are at Sea Pines, and we have up to 55 short-term rentals. So we really don't have that many visitor serving accommodations. Moreover, we don't have this extended stay product. And most of the chambers of commerce and other folks following the economics of this, we're trying to get people to not only come and visit communities on the coast here in the shoulder season, that's during the winter, but we're also trying to bump the average stays. And again, the extended stay units allow us to do that. So with folks staying longer, they're going to spend more money at restaurants and so forth. That's good for our local economy. And given we don't have very many places to stay, I think this is a project that can be supported. I'll just close by saying that this is not a new product. Hotel condominiums have been approved in our county for over 30 years. There's one in Oceano, Pacific Coast Plaza, Pismo Beach has one. So, and anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'm happy to answer any other questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have other questions from the council? Molly, I see your hand.
Yeah, Jeff, did you say your plan is for like 29 days would be the maximum in terms of a long-term stay?
Correct.
And is that based on code or just based on what you want to do?
That's a requirement. Less than 30 days or less.
Okay.
That's a statute, right, Jeff?
Correct. That's in the coastal zone land use ordinance.
Okay,
Correct.
so I'd like to add my 2 cents. I have to say, I can't disagree with Molly. However, I think this is a smart project, clever in a way of how it's been put together. But here's the thing I like about it the most. besides the fact that it will bring in revenue, to much needed revenue to Los Osos that will help us improve our streets and other projects, it's in the commercial district and it's not vacation rentals scattered around our residential area causing disturbances. All of these people will be concentrated in the commercial district. They can walk over to Ralph's, they can do their business there, and it will not interfere with residential living. And I think that's probably my favorite thing about this project. And so I have to say I like it. And I would make a motion. I would like to entertain a motion
I would like
to
to make
move
that
forward.
motion. I agree with you, Deborah and Jim. This is really, I think, an addition to our community and should be welcome. It's a great one, and I'm all for it. So let's move it forward. I move approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. So Jim and Brad, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Andrea and Molly. Okay. And Molly. All right. There's still things to be done, I believe. Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's still the whole math of the water that's to be determined, and that is something that planning will be doing, correct?
As far as the math, you're referring to the math of the water, as in we've got the Wilsers, we have the proposed calculation. Planning has accepted the project for processing. So I'm in the process of doing the environmental review. And so part of that does involve the water reviewing the water calculation criteria. And so at this point, it meets our it is currently meet the threshold for acceptance.
Okay. Just
Yeah, it really is the planning commission. It's in the plans of the planning commission whether they grant the waiver or not.
Correct.
That really is where it goes.
And just by way of clarification, again, Jeff Edwards, the water analysis review was performed by the Public Works Department. They're handling that.
all right. Well,
Just
there
to
you
clarify.
go. All right. So that project is approved to move forward. Congratulations, Jeff.
By way of clarification, the vote was 4-2 or 5-2?
Okay, wait.
I think it was.
Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4-2.
4-2.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right. Let's move on to our committee reports. Treasurer's report, Jim.
Real quick, a little mix up on our treasurer. I can say with assurance that our beginning balance is $1,187.34. I can estimate that we received approximately 13 cents interest at expenses of our Zoom and website, approximately $15, making our ending balance at $1,172.47. I'd like to report also that we received a grant from the Board of Supervisors for $1,500. Will show up in next
Okay.
month. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Land use. I think we got everything covered,
Yeah,
right?
we did. Just want to let everybody know that we are not going to meet on Monday. It is a holiday, Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, everybody. And so we didn't have anything for the agenda anyway, so it worked out well. So we will meet again in October.
Okay. All right. Transportation report. At the August transportation meeting, we celebrated the adoption of the Los Osos Valley Road Corridor Plan by the Board of Supervisors. We have been talking to Public Works about what they're going to do with the plan, and they are planning on going to LOCAC in the fall to be in their fall funding cycle for the separated bike pedestrian path between Palisades and Broderson. So
Good.
pretty excited about that, I have to say.
Yeah.
We also discussed the parking situation at the Baywood Business District. We're looking at ways to improve parking opportunities in the business district on Second Street and on Santa Maria at the location of Farmers Market. We also have a concern about pedestrian and bike safety down there. There are no designated bike lanes on Second Street, even though that street is very, very wide and certainly could accommodate separate bike lanes. Ideas for parking have included angle parking. Angle parking is allowed on Second Street, but on part of Second Street, you can see it's parallel parking. So ideas for angle parking in the middle of the street. I think I have a picture of what that would look like if you give me just a moment. And I'll pull it up. Here we go. Let me show you what that looks like. So there you go. So this would be similar to what's at Pismo, where you have parking in the center of the street, angle parking both ways, and then you would have bike lanes on protected bike lanes on both sides. And you would also have this landing area for pedestrians who are crossing the street. That's a very, very wide street there. And so you would actually have a place where they could stop if there's traffic coming, oncoming traffic, they would have a protected place to stop in the process of crossing the street. So this is just one idea. Another idea would be to have the bike lane, a curb, and then angle parking along the edge of the street. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the businesses on Second Street and get some feedback from them and see what they would like to see. We know that we need more parking down there. We know that we're getting a lot of traffic in the Baywood area, and most of that parking is overflowing into the residential area. So we're trying to be creative here, come up with solutions that maintains the character of Los Osos, but still provides more accessible parking and keeping it within the business district. Do I have any questions about that?
I don't have a question, but I think it looks great, this proposal or this concept. Yeah,
Okay.
really like it.
Okay, great. Well, we'll see where it goes. Oh, Ron's coming back. So, yeah, we're kind of excited about this idea. Jeff pointed out how vibrant Baywood is, and we want to keep it that way. So we're going to try to work with the businesses down there and get something going. I have had a meeting with County Public Works on this, and so that I can understand the process as far as what would be required in order to accomplish this. So we'll keep working on that at the Transportation Committee. The other thing we did is we talked about creating a map, a Los Osos map. The Chamber has a beautiful map of Los Osos, and what's cool about it is it shows where the dirt streets are.
Yeah.
And so using that map, we are going to create a map of potential trails and pathways throughout Los Osos. And so we're going to mark those future potential trails using the dirt, mainly dirt or paper streets that are already available. And frankly, we know people are already using these roads to walk here and there without having to encounter cars or traffic. The reason we want to do that is because if we create a map and map out all of our potential, okay, you can get from Baywood to the community center by using this potential trail, then we'll share that with the Bikeways Committee, we'll share that with the county, and we'll share the county public works, and then we'll share it with the county parks and rec and say, okay, we see these as potential trails. Put this into your information, especially public works, because they are in charge of allowing vacation of right-of-way. And if that happens to be a request for a vacation happens to be on something we've designated as a potential trail or pathway, we would want them to say, no, you can't have that. We have good standing for this. In the Los Osos community plan, it does say that Public Works is not to give away any of the right-of-way without coming to LOCAC first. In practice, that has not happened. So we thought we'd give this a little more, make it more practical by creating our own map and saying, okay, see these roads? All right, don't give away anything there. And that way they can just have a document that they can refer to. So we haven't really started other than putting some highlighter on a chamber map to sort of figure out what roads would lead to where and what would make sense. But we're kind of excited about this project because one of the really amazing things about Los Osos is that people walk and are very active in our community, and they want to know where these pathways are, and they want to know how they connect to trails into Montana de Oro. So yeah, we're going to keep working on that and we'll keep you posted. And that's what we're doing at transportation.
Deborah, I have a quick question on that.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating that there's a requirement for the county to come to LOCAC before they vacate property. And I'm wondering, because it's generally a public service exercise, I think, so it would be great if we could get some sort of, I'm sure they have checklists of what they need to do, and it would be great to get that added so that happens. So in the future, very important. And
Well, we had that conversation
We
with Public Works.
did.
They're
good.
not coming. So I don't know where it says that they have to come, but they were pretty clear they're not coming. But it's good you're doing that, Deborah, because one of the problems is that if there's no claim to that right away, they by law they have to give it away.
Right.
So they have to honor the request of the property owner. But if we have a map saying we don't want you to give this away, then they have something to tell the property owner, oh, sorry, we can't give this to you because it's a potential future trail for Los Osos.
Well, that's kind of what we thought too.
And those vacations are generally done on the consent calendar. So I mean, it's not, rocket science for us to take a look at the consent calendar on a, bi-weekly basis and, just make sure it's going the right, it's done correctly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, we don't want to lose any potential pathway or trail or whatever. I'm going to have to turn on a light because it's getting dark. I'll be right back. There. I think that's better. Okay. How's that? Okay.
Adjourned.
All right. Well, yeah, we're excited about that. It's going to take a little time. We want to have it make sense. We're not just like willy-nilly putting lines on paper, but using, as I said, the chamber map, it shows exactly where these dirt roads are, and we connect those dirt roads to natural pathways within the community. And I think we have ourselves something really fun. Okay. Moving on to the ad hoc LOCAC CSD Parks Committee. You already had a report by Tom Cross about that, what we're doing as far as finding out, what is the appetite in this community for supporting the acquisition and ongoing maintenance for that project at Sunnyside, the Sunnyside School. Ron Munns and I and a few of the other people went and did a tour of the CAL FIRE building. That is a huge building there. There's lots and lots of opportunity for rental space there. We just have to kind of figure out what makes sense. But it's an exciting project. We are meeting pretty regularly, and what we've decided to do is share the minutes from those meetings with the council members so that you can keep up to date with how that's progressing. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that committee. Molly.
I just had one comment, which was I got an email from another interested group saying that, you know, this scientific survey was coming out, and they said, check your spam, because it might have gone to your email spam. And I checked my spam, and sure enough, there was the prompt to do the survey. So I took the survey and I did the survey. But a lot of people may have gotten it and it might have gone in their spam. So I highly recommend anyone who hasn't done the survey, just check your email spam and see if there's a message about taking the survey for low
Oh,
SOSs.
wow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Jeremy's putting something in there. Okay, great. Thank you, Jeremy, for that
Thank you,
information.
Jeremy. That's very, very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You're
Somebody
welcome.
grab that. Any other questions or comments about
Anything.
parks, Sunnyside? Okay, we're also still not forgetting about the community center and what potentially could happen there. So we'll keep you posted. You'll be getting, council members, you'll be getting the minutes from our meetings so that you can keep abreast. All right. Discussion. AI generated written minutes. All right, true confession. I forgot to record my transportation meeting last week. And when it was all done, I said, what am I going to do? And then I remembered that Zoom now creates automatically AI generated minutes, sort of a transcription, a summary of the meetings. And I thought, okay, well, I will go through that summary and transcription. I will take out any personal things like where somebody took a vacation, and I will submit that to the Transportation Committee. And I will also post it on the website as a document because obviously we don't have the recording of the meeting. It works out, actually, it's a pretty good transcription, I have to say. I was pretty happy with what I saw there. I would like to know if the council would be interested in doing something similar for our council meetings, where we would use the AI generated transcription. We would clean it up and then have it available on the website for somebody who may want to just quickly scan through the meeting and see what happened. And if they wanted to get more detail, they could then go to the YouTube channel and see the actual recording of the meeting. What do you guys think?
Sounds great.
I would say it's a good concept. The only thing is it is going to be more work than just
Somebody's
recording
gonna
a
have to clean
video,
it up,
because
yeah.
somebody has to go
Yeah.
through it like you did and make sure,
Right.
you know,
Right.
kind of clean it up a little bit.
Right. Well,
So-
this is what I would do. I would go through it, I would clean it up, and like all minutes, they would have to be sent out to council members. You would have to review it, and then it would have to be approved at the next meeting. Just like we used to do when somebody handed the minutes. So we would just add that back in as a standard action of the council, that you would be reading the minutes, we would bring them back, you would approve the minutes, and so then they would go on the website.
So
I
there
guess
would be a
my-
30-day lag time though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to decide. You tell me what makes
Well,
sense.
I don't know how much people even review our agenda, so I'm just wondering for the amount of work, like I would be the one to do it and for land use, and I'm just.
Well, you don't have to do it for land use. I'm just talking about the council.
Oh, you're just talking about the main.
General meeting.
So are you saying you would do it?
Yeah, for the general meeting, I would do it. If you
Oh,
think
I
it's
see.
important, I would do it. But if it's not important, then we can just keep doing it as a recording.
Yeah.
You want to think about it?
Well, I don't know what other people think. I just,
I guess I'm not seeing the
opposed.
value.
Okay.
I'm not opposed
mean-
to it, but it is more work for somebody, which in
Yeah.
this case would be you. But are people going to use it? That's my question.
Well, it's really going to be all of our work because we have to review the minutes when she sends them out and read them and make sure that they're all correct, and
That's right.
or at least what we said was correct, or
Yeah.
we didn't say anything we don't want to be in the minutes, you know.
That's
But we're all
exactly right.
captured anyway on the video, so it doesn't really matter. So video captures everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I volunteer with an organization called SCORE, and we meet with clients on Zoom, and they tried to introduce or are trying to introduce AI generated minutes and notes, meeting notes. And my personal opinion, I haven't done it a few times, is that the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I mean, it takes more work to have a good set of notes put together than it would be to just review the whole thing.
All right. So I'm hearing that it doesn't sound like it's worth it. Okay. Well, if you ever get stuck and you didn't press record like I did, you have a backup.
Deborah,
All right.
you skipped over a tree and landscape committee report.
Oh, how did I do that? I'm so sorry.
That's
I
okay.
was-
And it's very quick. It's very quick. We did not meet in August. Gary Katayama is going to be joining Tree and Landscape. And we planted about 17 island oaks on private property along Los Osos Valley Road and in white tubes. They're encased in white tubes. And if you go by, you can see that many of those island oaks are popping above the white tubes. So that is a very positive planting project.
Very
That's
cool.
all.
I did notice that, Andrea, and I got excited about the fact that those trees are starting to really grow. I do have a question for you though. So I'm surprised I skipped over your committee. There are trees on Ramona, the corner of 4th Street and Ramona on the south side, those pine trees.
They're
They look-
cypress. Cypress.
They're
trees.
cypress?
Yeah.
They look very sick.
Well, they're old and they need trimming, and yeah, I had thought about contacting the county and trying to ask them to do something, but I think they aren't willing to maintain them. Andrea might know, I don't know. So they're actually on both sides of the road along
Deborah,
Ramona, close to 4th.
The ones on Sweet Springs the Sweet Springs side doesn't seem really bad, but the ones on the other side look like they could fall over. I mean,
They're a fire hazard is what they are.
Well, I am concerned because they
Yeah.
aren't looking very healthy. And so I'm just curious about, what can be done, what should be done, what's appropriate.
Well, it's definitely it's not I think it's the county's
Yeah.
jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I do know that people continue to, do a little guerrilla gardening and plant cypress there in between. That's not tree and landscape, I might add. But yeah, I think it's an ongoing question, but I would refer the public if they're concerned to contact the county about it.
Yeah, I can also contact the county about it because I've been concerned about it.
Yeah.
So that's county right of way. It's not part of
Yeah.
that private property there.
My understanding, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to know. Thank you
Yep.
for that information because
You bet. Thanks.
I was wondering about that. All right. So I don't have anything left on my agenda. Is there anything else that somebody wants to talk about or address? Well, I think we can adjourn then at 8:13. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Good night.
And I.
Thank you, folks.